What's up, everyone? Welcome to Unmasked, where things are discovered, uncovered, brought to the light, and made known. I'm your host, Lamar Barrett, coming live to you from PG County, Maryland. If you're interested in finding out about the untold stories behind being a college coach, this is the show for you. Being a former assistant men's college basketball coach for 16 years, there are so many untold stories behind the scenes in the life of a college basketball coach. Now, let's unmask them. Today's guest is and I say young, but he's very experienced. People don't realize, when you get into business, you're 10 plus years in, you're very experienced. So I say young, but he has a very bright basketball mind, outstanding work ethic, an excellent talent evaluator, a teacher, a great developer of talent. And I don't say that about everyone, but a great developer of talent, a guy who I know is going to be a future coach, head coach in this business at some level. And that's what I just believe. I've seen him actually when he was a player at Old Dominion. I go back to that. I can remember that, seeing him in that game, seeing him play there when I was in college coaching. But and then like to see him grow to where he is now, and I understood the future is bright. And then he's a Burlington, North Carolina native, Drew Williamson. And so before I even bring Drew to the show, this is the guy, like I said, I've been knowing for a long time. Before I bring him to the show and talk about his bio a little bit, he had an outstanding, when I say that, college basketball career at Old Dominion University, where he actually went to three tournaments. Everybody still talk about that basket, that half court shot almost at Laura, from the 10. So that's a huge thing. So he had a huge career there, racked up a lot. He's top 10 in a few categories. I think 130 games, I believe, is still the record at Old Dominion, where 130 straight games he played at Old Dominion. Like I said, top 10 in assists, top 10 in steals. So he had, like I said, a great career. Then he went on to play professionally in Germany for 3 years. I actually won a championship over in Germany. So this man he's just won wherever he's gone. Like as a player at Old Dominion, going to the tournament, like I said a few times. And then he had a chance, to come back to his alma mater where, Blaine Taylor called him. He told him to come home, basically. He became the director of basketball ops for a couple of years at Old Dominion University. And then he had a chance to go with Lonnie Blow. And we'll talk about this even later. He gets offered a job at one place. And before he even gets to that place, Lonnie gets another job. And then says, I still want you to come with him because they had worked together at Old Dominion for a year. So he goes with Lonnie Blow to Virginia State, where he worked for 8 years. And then now he's back into Division I basketball, where he's presently at Florida Atlantic. Took the job this summer. That's been a long time coming. I know we've talked on numerous occasions. If him not being here in Division I, he definitely should have been a head coach somewhere, at least at the Division II level. So I want to welcome to the show, the guy I've been knowing. We probably talk on the phone a lot, whether it's basketball or football, but I want to welcome to the show, Drew Williamson, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me on, man. I'm a big fan of the Unmasked series, man. So, I'm glad to be a part of it. And looking forward to this conversation.
Well, all right, Drew. Well, you came here, man, to get unmasked, so that's what we're gonna do. So one of the first questions I like to ask, and it doesn't matter where it started with you at Old Dominion, or if you went to Virginia State, or even now at Florida Atlantic, but man, you jumped into it. So you actually worked for the guy that you played for, in college. So which you were the big part of that program. It took a hit for a little bit, but it's always been a good program. And then you got it back to where it was at one point. But then you go and work for them, so it's different. There's no handbook to being a college coach. We all know that. Tell me about the first day, first week, first month, maybe after things are done with human resources, especially like when no one gives you direction. And you work with some veteran guys. You were, with Corrigan and I think John Richardson was there at the time. And so you work with some veteran guys who have been there, but still it's different. Talk about that.
I tell you what, I think for me, I look back at it now and say, like, coming in as a director of basketball operations was the best thing that could have happened, because I come in as a player and all you think about is like just the basketball aspect of it. And you don't know all the stuff that go behind the scenes that makes the program run. So I took the job in July, which is the recruiting period for college coaches. So I took the job on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. I get there and all the coaches get ready to leave to go recruiting. So like I'm in the office by myself, and the first thing they say is, we got to when the players are coming back in for summer school, we need to go pick them up at the train station. And so that was the only direction I had for the first week of work. And so I get there, I don't know the player. I don't know anything about it. I just know I'm looking for a 6'7" dude when I pull up at the train station. I get there, pull up. He's actually there waiting, got his bags. I take him back to the hotel, to the dorm rooms, and he's like, "What's next?" And I'm looking at him like, "What's next for me too?" Like, so we trying to figure this thing out together, champ. But so I end up getting Annette Manley was there, and she was like, she worked with Blaine for a while. I think she was there with JJ for a little bit. But she was there at the time and kind of gave me like the rundown of what just need to get done for that week, just to get the coaches back in town out of recruiting. And then that next week, man, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It was just, you keep doing this. And I'm like, all right, well, let me just get my feet underneath me a little bit. But like you said, it's no handbook, man. It was just, you're here, pick the recruit up, figure the rest of it out later, man. And it was a blessing in disguise just having to kind of get there and do it on my own a little bit.
You're 100% right. Shout out Annette Manley. She was awesome for me when I was there for 3 years. I mean, you talking about someone who knew what was going on, and you do need a person like that, because she's like, she got your back as well. You know what I'm saying? So big supporter. So shout out Annette Manley for that one. Recruiting. We all know that's the lifeline of college athletics. You got to get good players. You got to get good people. You got to get good students. And good students doesn't always mean you got to be an A student. Doesn't mean it's a B student. But you got to get kids that care about getting an education. Because a lot of these kids, this is their first generation not going to college, right? So, but there's some kids, like they come in, they don't want to be students, but like, no, you have to get guys who want to be. You don't have to chase them around campus, finding out where they are, going to class. Because when you get all three of those together, it makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah.
Talk about your best and worst recruiting stories from whatever level, like, that you've been in. Talk about that, or like simply just about recruiting in general, like that things that happen along the way in your career so far.
Yeah, I always tell, like, I like to tell a story of like basically my first recruit, like kind of going into detail about how that happened. And so we were at Virginia State. Everybody kind of out in the fall period going to see workouts, and gyms kind of packed in the area. A lot of different colleges are there. A lot of watching a couple different guys, and it's one kid just kind of stands out, and he's not on anybody's radar. And so kind of sit there and watch him a little bit more, and just kind of leave, like just kind of left the workout. Didn't want to talk to anybody about it. Just wanted to leave the workout and just kind of get out and call the coach the next day and just kind of see what was going on. So long story short, we end up recruiting the kid and getting him to sign early. And everybody was kind of waiting on him, like to wait and see if they can get him late. But fast forward to state tournament. He signs in November. Fast forward to their state tournament. I go watch the state championship game. I don't wear anything for Virginia State. I'm just there, just sitting there, just watching in the stands. And sitting with some other college coaches. They don't really realize who I am, what I'm doing there. But kids having a great championship game, and all the coaches are right there, like why the hell is he going to Division II? why is he going to Virginia State? And at the same time, they're still saying, I wonder if he can get out of that. I wonder if he can get out of that NIL or NLI. I'm like, I'm sitting there listening to the whole conversation. But I mean, I always look at it just kind of like trusting my own eyes as a recruiter, man. And it really stood out to me because I wasn't the only one in the gym that day. And leaving out of there, I was kind of like the only one that kind of picked up on what this kid could possibly do. And, he go on to have a great, senior year. And now everybody's trying to figure out a way to get him, out of Virginia State contract and go somewhere else. But I always like to tell that story just for recruiting purposes. Just I look at it as like, I got to trust who I like, what I like in a player, and what I think they can do and what I think they can be. So that's probably it's for sure my best story.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Like, you know what I'm saying? You trusted your own eyes, no matter what anybody else thought. You did your due diligence, calling the coach and all of that. So that's a great story within itself. And that's why I think too many guys fall in love with what everyone else, like, the first thing they do is they call and like, well, when they're talking to the coach, like, who else is recruiting? Like, does it matter? Like, if you think he's good enough, that's all that should matter, so especially in this business, a ton of head coaches, they do that. Like, they just, they always want, and I'm not saying every coach does that, but like, they want to win the press conference. They want to win everything with the alums and boosters just because he don't have a name and no one knows who he is. But those are the kids who end up turning out the best, a lot of times. So I'm glad that kind of worked out well for you. Sacrifice, man, that's a huge word in this profession. I don't think a lot of people who are outside of the business understand how much time, how much effort is put in. One of the biggest things they always ask is like, okay, basketball season is over. What do you do now? Or, when is your off season? There is no off season. I mean, it's amazing how people just think that the season is, November to March or November to April and it's over. And they have no idea like all the stuff that goes in. But what did you have to sacrifice to achieve your current level of success? Because a lot of people don't understand like how much sacrifice you do give up.
Yeah, man. I think the main thing for me, I'm a real big family oriented dude, man. So like I'm big on it. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I look at even as of right now, sacrificing like the family time, the family vacations, your weekends. Like, I mean, like you think about it, you may practice all week and have a recruit on campus on the weekend. And so that's a whole 7-day work week where everybody else is, kind of relaxing, or a birthday party or something like that going on. I think for sure that, and I also think at times, it was a blessing in disguise, but I think I sacrificed my playing career a little bit. Because I definitely could have continued playing overseas. I had just got married, and so like that kind of played a part into holding off, making the right decision for a contract. But then the coaching aspect came in, and so that I think I sacrificed some playing days as well. But I look at it now, man. It's all worth it. You put the time in, you get to kind of do something you love to do, and then just having people around you to understand what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish.
Great stuff. That is great stuff. Like, and that's something like you said, you were young. You played 3 years, probably had, several more years in, but like you got a call and this was like an opportunity. And you know what? I mean, I've been saying it lately. I kind of, I did an interview with a young lady and I kind of put it out, and it's, your vision, but it's God's plan. I mean, that's, what I'm saying? Like, you might have had the vision to keep saying I want to play, but like, it wasn't God's plan for you to keep playing. So that's something that's interesting. Like that you said, that you probably sacrificed playing, but who knows where you will be in right now if you didn't decide to jump in when you did.
I said this tomorrow real quick. To that point, like the same thing is like if I don't sacrifice that time of playing, knowing how hard it is to get in this business and stay in this business now, I don't think I get in, to be honest with you. Like my only rope to pull me into this business was Coach Taylor. And that was, I was there with him for 2 years. And if I do something different, or take a 2-year contract overseas or something else, I don't know if I'm in college coaching, to be honest with you.
That's true. That is true. Scout reports. We know that there was a huge in the game. And I always say this, like, people have no idea how much time you put into scouting. And even you coming from Virginia State, it's a lot different. Like you guys, because Coach Blow and yourself have been in Division I, you were still trying to get the best resources to still run your program like a Division I program, but sometimes you don't have, or like, but scouting reports, man, like one thing about that is you can't, no matter what level you're at, you can't give kids too much information because they got a lot of stuff going on. And when you give them too much, it's overkill. You was a player. Like, I mean, you don't want to confuse kids. That's what you don't want to do. Talk about, and then you got scouting reports where, I don't know if this happened with Coach Blow or whatever, but like, you saying, Coach, I've watched 7 games. He struggled his last 7 games shooting the ball. He's made 3 out of his last 35. He really can't shoot. He comes in, first two shots he take, and he knocked down 3s. Coach turned to June saying, "You told me he couldn't shoot." I said, "Coach, I didn't say he couldn't. I said he was struggling." Yeah. So you got to make sure when when you're saying things that people understand what you're talking about, because you can confuse the coach. The coach can get confused, players get confused, and it's a long night. But talk about your best and worst scout reports you may have had over the years.
Man, I'd say the first one I did with Coach Blow, because Coach he does a good job of kind of turning you into a overall coach, right? And so we get to the locker room. I wrote the scouting report up, give it to him 3 days in advance. We talk about it, go over some stuff in practice. But we get to the before the game, and we in the locker room talking, and he says, "All right, here's the marker. It's your scouting report. Let me hear it." And so it's like, go present to the team your scouting report, get them ready to play. This is on you. And I was caught off guard, and I appreciate it now, because it was like, if he would have told me, I'd have prepared myself for it. But by him not telling me, I'm thinking, I did all my work. He gonna go present it to the team, and we're gonna talk about it from there. But nah, man, I'm in there like writing. I'm nervous. I'm sweating, writing down like, man, I ain't presented to a team yet. Like, this is my first time doing a presentation to a group. And it's the first game of the season. So, this is how our season gonna go from there. So anyway, I mean, it wasn't a bad scouting report. It's just that I wasn't prepared to present it to the team. So that thing threw me off, but it helped me from now. Like, and I think the best scouting report I probably did, man, is we played Virginia Union, man. They had beat us in the CIAA tournament in the semifinals, but we both made the NCAA tournament, and we ended up playing each other in the first round of the tournament, and we had a whole week to prepare for them. And it was kind of like, man, we watched them play us for 4 years straight. Just kind of watched everything they did against us for 4 years straight. What worked, what didn't work, what worked for us, and what didn't work for us, and we implemented everything that worked. And when I say a game plan go to the T, we couldn't have drew it up any better. Like, the gaps we was hitting in the zone was wide open. And it was just kind of everything you would imagine a scouting report to do. It kind of came to fruition, man. And it was big time. Big time.
Wow, that's awesome. That's good. Like, when it worked like that, that's a big thing. Yeah. And you got it when he went, like, hey, it wasn't the CIAA tournament, but it was NCAA tournament, so that's even huge. Yeah. Biggest challenge, man. Like, you've been in it 10 years now. Biggest challenge, given it going year 11. Biggest challenge you think you've experienced since you've been in college coaching?
For me, I think I'll probably say just being able to advance my career a little bit. At times that it kind of got frustrating for me. But at the same time, I had some opportunities where I could have probably made a decision to go somewhere else. Just didn't feel like it was the right decision, right time, whatever the case may be. But it was just kind of at times, challenging to see the success that we were able to have year in and year out. And not a lot of people take it as serious as I thought. Like, I'm pretty confident that I can coach and mentor and do these things on whatever level. But you got to have somebody else to believe in you. So that was part of the challenge of finding some other people that see my talent and believe in what I could possibly do.
Yeah, like I said, that was one thing I saw, like, yo, he can coach, and it don't matter what level. I've been saying, I don't know what people, it's taking so long for you to get to the Division I level. I mean, that's something I've always seen. Just listening, you can listen a lot of times to people. So I'm glad you finally got that chance. And like I said, I don't think it's up from here. I think it's gonna be bigger things that happen for you. Do you find, or do you ever find that there are things about you that people might misunderstand? What up?
Sometimes I don't over talk. So sometimes I think Mike can stand off. You kind of come off as pretty standoffish, maybe. But what it is, man, I really like to listen to people. Like I really like to listen and absorb what they're saying, because I'm always trying to learn. Like the biggest thing for me is like I never want to stop learning. And everybody I talk to or encounter, I feel like I can get something from. And so like, I'll be around in a group and I might not say anything the entire time, but I heard the entire conversation and I probably took something from each and every one that was in the conversation. So, maybe that's not what people feel, but, for me, I think, I have that kind of like, I guess, feeling that, I'm sometimes like a little bit like too quiet in some scenarios, what may be.
And that's far from it, because if anybody knew you, if they
exactly.
know you, if they know you.
Conversations can get long, man.
Yes, they can. What do you? We're all educators in this business. Like, no matter what, you can be coach. You teach. That's what you do. So you're always educating. What do you try to teach or educate to your players besides basketball?
Man, that's the biggest thing, because I think they hear the basketball talk, they hear the academic talk every single day, right? So like, just trying to talk to them about like stuff that's gonna help them out here in this real world, like the situations that I've had to encounter, like growing up at their age, trying to put it out there before they have to go through it, right? Now I'm big on not having to go through an experience to learn, right? So like, I'm telling them, you don't need to go through this. I'm telling you how it's going to go. Like, so like, just listen to me. But just kind of the manhood stuff. I try to make sure I'm a good role model at all times. With my social media stuff, the way they see me interact with my kids, the way they see me interact with my wife, just those things kind of, I feel like they take a lot from, and trying to show them the right way of doing it.
That's some great stuff right there, man. If you had a chance to sit down, have breakfast, lunch, 3-4 hours, pick someone's brain, and it could be from any, it could be sports, just 3 or 4 people that you like, man, I would love to sit down with. It could be Obama, it could be anyone. Who would you want to sit down, pick their brain? What makes them tick? Like what made them successful, or what their thought process was to get to where they are today, or even a past guy who, past guys as well. Who would that be?
Just, is it one, or you want me to?
Maybe 3 or 4. 3. Okay. I'm gonna say 3.
Okay.
That's a hard number, though. That is a hard
number. The first one would definitely be President Obama. That's the first one for me for sure, just to kind of hear, like, I like listening to him, like, just talk, like, just kind of the way he just be kind of doing his like speeches and things like that. So for sure him. Jay-Z would be one. He just kind of, that was kind of what we kind of grew up on, and listening to him earlier to him now, and his transformation to hear, like, when did it click for you? When did you realize you needed to kind of change who you were, or the path you were going? And then the last one, man, you probably gonna love this one, man. I need to sit down with LeBron at some time, man.
I thought we would get through a session and not mention his name, but I knew that was not gonna happen.
Not possible, man. I need to sit down with LeBron at some point, man. So whenever he watches the next Unmasked show, man, I hope he see this one.
We're gonna tag him in this. We're gonna tag Bron in this. And people, we're laughing and joking, but I think it could be 12 o'clock at night. Game is over. Like, we don't text each other. We're calling each other about certain things. Can you believe this? Can't believe that. Whether he fails, succeeds, like, so that's a kind of an inside joke but we have, and we have conversations about that all the time. That's why he said we do talk. So I was trying to get through a night of we're not talking about him, but it's just hard to do that.
I tried.
What's the strangest thing or weirdest thing that a player has done outside of the basketball court that you was just like, I can't believe this dude did this. I just can't believe this. Like, because like I said, you don't have to say names, but
yeah,
man, 18 and 22, man, like there's some things that you be like, wow, I can't believe that.
Man, I got the greatest one for that one, man. Like, so we have a official visit, and on the official visits, man, you give the players, entertainment money for food or whatever it is for them to feed the recruit after you done took them out to eat and all this other stuff. So that night out, they can have like a little bit of change. But you got to turn all the receipts in. It's basically, again, how it is, just for food and, whatever it might be. But we had a guy come back in, he hosted the recruit, come back in, turn the receipt in, and he got on there, food, 7-Eleven, Black and Miles. I'm like, wait, what's going on? You can't turn this thing in, man. Like, but man, that's one of those things. It's like, and that was early in my career too. And I'm like, man, like this is early. So I only, this thing will only get worse or something, man. Like, but yeah, man.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of hard to beat right there. I mean, he was honest, but yo, man, you can't put that down.
And I don't even think he really realized it, man. It just got like chips and soda, Black and Mild on there. He just turned the receipt in like nothing's, like there's no problem with it. I'm like, man, what's going on?
That's a funny one right there. Biggest accomplishment you think you've experienced since you've been in college, coach? Because a lot of people, and I don't want to mislead or like lead this question, but like everyone always get caught up with the wins and losses and things like that. But what's the biggest accomplishment you think you've experienced?
Man, this has just happened recently, but it's happened a couple different times. Like now I'm at the kind of the time of my career where guys I've coached are older and they're having kids and they're getting married or whatever the case may be. And so I had one guy, he mailed me a book. I like to read, mailed me a book about leadership. Inside the book, it was a handwritten note just talking about how much, I changed his life. He was going down the wrong path, and just me being around allowed him to grow and understand it's bigger stuff out there. And then I just had one other player coach. He was one of the first players we had at Virginia State. Him and his fiance just had a baby or getting ready to have a baby, and so he sent me the video of the baby reveal. So like those things right there, man. Again, like you can and you look at it, and like I said, neither one of those guys won a championship. I won a championship with. So it is way bigger than just the championships and the wins. All of us want to do it. We want to win, but at the same time, we teachers and mentors and want to change these dudes' lives.
Yeah, because it's the impact. I say it all the time. Like we from 18 to 22, 23, whatever age, like you're playing the biggest part in their lives because now they're becoming like the parents did a great job of rearing them, to the 17, 18 years old, 19 years old. But now you're like teaching them, like they're going from young boy to man.
Yep.
So like these are things that they're going to be using for the rest of their life, for the next, about marriage, there's a lot of things you talk about, family, job, how many guys call you, about, hey, should I take this job? Should I do this, do that? And like, it's just interesting how that is, or like, they, like you said, they'll send you something and thank you for like changing their life. You have no idea how much you impact these kids. And that's why people always ask me, they're like, do you miss being back coaching? I was like, the only thing I miss is the relationship with those players.
Yeah.
When you go off the court, you in the locker room, how much time you spend with them, because those are the things you change their lives, and they're in your life forever. So,
yeah.
That's the biggest thing, and I'm glad you said that. entertainment kind of question. What movie or TV show title best describes your week? Like, what do you look at as like, this TV show, or that describes my week right here?
Man, I can do the last 2 months, man. Probably Rush Hour. No, it's been it's been fun, like making this transition, but it's been constantly on the go, like trying to deal with the house, get situated, your family down here, get them in school, get with the team, with the coaching staff, understand the game planning, or how we want to play, meet the people you need to meet and kind of on campus. So it's so many different things, which you know already how it goes. But Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3 probably.
I like that, Rush Hour. I like that. It is a whirlwind. Like you have, and that's the one thing people don't understand too, the transition. Like my wife is ready to write a book on that, because every time she like, we moved 5 times, and there's always like, I got to get something. Every time we move, it's like, no, you got to get me something, So,
man, you too. That's the same battle.
Oh, yeah. You get used to that, man. Get used to it. I'm telling you. What's your favorite word or phrase you like to use? And like some players might think it's, you say it, they know it's coming, it's funny, but like, what's your favorite word or phrase that you like to use?
I'm gonna do 2 of them, man, because I know I say them all the time. How you do anything is how you do everything. I tell them dudes that all the time. Just because if you're late to your class, man, you're gonna be late to practice at some point. You're gonna be late to setting that screen. It's just how you do it. But then the other one is just stack days. I'll always use that a lot. Stack days, just trying to, stay in the moment of, let me just take care of this day right here, man. I can't do anything about the next day. Let me just stack a good day here and then try to put another one on top of it the next day. So those 2.
You gotta repeat that, the first one for everyone. How you do what?
How you do anything is how you do everything.
I like that. I'm stealing that, by the way. I'm stealing that one, by the way.
I stole
it. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Be yourself, man. And be comfortable being yourself. Like, I think a lot of times especially now, man, you probably look at it like around you and you always see all this stuff going on, and you try to figure out, am I doing it the wrong way, or am I going about things the wrong way? But like, you got to be true to who you are, and just kind of be comfortable being yourself and being true to who you are.
Man, some powerful stuff. I like all these jewels you dropping. What does success mean to you? Because some people get caught up. You kind of probably touched on it a little bit before, but like, what does success mean to you?
I think first for me, again, like I'm big on the family aspect. So my family being happy and being content with our life, like no matter what it is, like you don't have to be big and be small, whatever the case is, as long as they're happy, I'm in a good place. And then, seeing guys graduate, nothing like recruiting a kid, telling their parents, my job is to, you got them to this point, my job is to get them across the stage. And then they get across that stage. So like those things are like what I kind of define as success for myself, I think.
Awesome. And I'm gonna ask you this, because you said something about reading earlier.
Yeah.
What is your happy place? Like what is your happy place? Like I was a guy who could go to the movie theater and like sit in the movie theater by myself. Like just because you're away from everything, no self, like nothing. Or I go to the massage. I go get me a massage. That was my happy place for 2 hours. Like, what is your happy place?
Man, anywhere outside, man. Like just go, seriously go outside and just kind of sit down on a park bench or just sit out and just kind of like right now when we doing this, I'm sitting outside and you just kind of hear like the the noise, the birds, whatever it is, man. I think I feel real like comfortable and at peace at that time, and I can read or whatever, listen to a podcast and be cool for 2-3 hours.
I like the outside. I mean, is that because of the country boy in you, or you just like that's always been the hey?
I think so, man. I think it's a lot of country boy. Man. I don't like to be stuck in the house, man.
I feel you. I feel you. You've always been a humble guy. You're not a self-promoter. I think your work speaks for itself. If you had to choose 3 adjectives to describe yourself, which would you choose?
Um, I would definitely say probably empathetic would be one I like to use because I really like to put myself in other people's shoes before I even try to make any kind of assessment, judgment, or whatever the case may be. So that would be one for sure. Um, I would say loyal for sure, and then just kind of resilient. Like so kind of whenever I'm gonna get it done, man. It's whatever river I got to go through. I'm gonna figure out a way, but I'm gonna keep going to the job get done.
Three great ones right there. Um, what person and or event has had the most influence on your life?
Ooh, event I would probably say out of high school, thinking I was going to Carolina and that rug getting pulled out from under. That was a childhood. Coming from that area, all you know is Tobacco Road and UNC, Duke, NC State, whatever it is. But having an opportunity to think I'm going to be playing in my childhood dream school, and then within a matter of like 2 months, it all just kind of wiping away. But I think it changed to how I looked at life and helped me become who I am now, for sure.
And people don't know, for you don't know, like he was 1, 2. I'm gonna say one. But you and Chris Paul came out the same time. He ends up in Wake Forest, so you were, considered one of the top 2 point guards in the state of North Carolina at the time. So that's not a far gone conclusion that you thought Carolina would, like you would come in. I think a coaching change
Yeah.
happened. That's when Roy kind of came in for Matt Doherty. So and that changed a lot. And you end up going to Old Dominion, and life still pans out. You didn't resilient. You used it earlier. You still was resilient, and you had an outstanding career, and you're still, still moving forward. So I commend you for that. What's the most stressful situation you think you may have faced?
Oh man. Like I'm on probably recency bias, but man, it's been this last couple of months. Taking the job, I already kind of knew I was going to take it, but just trying to do all the logistical stuff, like that was stressful, man. Just trying to find a place to live because, like, the market, what it is right now, everybody's buying up these houses. Just trying to find a place to live, get my kids in school, all within a matter of a month. Trying to do all that, and I think that was just kind of, I'm in a good place now, man, because now I can just go to work and lock in on what we're trying to do for this season. But man, it was last 2 months ago. I was struggling, man.
And I can contest to that because we talked about doing this a couple of months ago and was like, hey, take your time,
Yes,
whenever you're ready, you know what I'm saying? So this wasn't like, oh, this just happened because we've been talking about this for a while. And it's like, you know what, you take care of what you got to take care of. It'll be time for this. So, and I thank you now for even coming on. I always like to end with this question. Knowing what you know now, like, what would you tell your younger self to prepare for as a college coach?
I would say, I would use my use your resources use my resources a little bit better. And what I mean by that is kind of getting out and going to, like, working these camps, going to these different clinics. Now I do it now. Like I'll spend a day watching clinics now, but again, talking to my younger self, saying, hey, listen, you back from overseas, go work Elon camp, go work UNCG camp, go work whatever the camps. I'm from the area, so that's why I named those schools. But then go back overseas. But I didn't think about it. It was rest time, and like I said, I think just telling my younger self, be more resourceful, and kind of get out there and use what's around you to make yourself a little bit better too.
You sound like every player that played in your. I mean, they say the same thing, which they look at it like most of them say that. Guys who are not even in coaching, they say the same thing. Like they would have done things totally different because you're thinking about, you get through those 9 months, you play, you want to rest, you're at home, you got so much stuff you want to do. You want to, like, you got family, you got your friends. And so you try to fit in so much stuff in that small time, but you're not thinking about, you know, down the road. And like you said, but that's a great for these young individuals to hear that. The young people now, like, hey, start working on your craft now. You know what I'm saying? Instead of waiting to down the road. But look, man, I want to say this. I thank you again, Drew, for being a guest on the show and being unmasked, man. And also just like, you know, being able to have a friendship, you know, it's bigger than just, it's more than just basketball. So, you know, I thank you for that. And is there anything you want to leave with the viewers before we go?
Now, man, I'm just happy for you, man, for real. Like I really remember, you know, you texting me, you know, I don't know if it might have been a couple years ago now, it seemed like, but when you were just thinking about this, you know, the unmasked thing and just talking about the idea, and I was like, man, that's genius. And then to see where you done took it to now, man, I'm extremely happy for you. And you know, anything I can ever do to help, you know, sky's the limit for you already, man. Just keep pushing forward. But I definitely appreciate you having me on for sure.
Yeah, appreciate those kind words, man. So, like I said, it's bigger than basketball. So, I want to thank you, viewers, for watching another great show. And stay tuned for the next guest as we get them unmasked. See you next time and stay safe.